Our community is in denial about alcoholism and addiction. We believe it just doesn't happen to Jews. But every time I speak about the topic, someone in the audience, well-respected, well-known, will come forward to me and tell me privately about their own destructive struggles with drugs and with drinking. And one of the lessons of this week's Torah reading is that even the greatest heroes can be brought down by alcoholism. Noach, who is the greatest man of his generation, and potentially, according to some interpretations, one of the greatest human beings ever to live, he comes out of the ark and he starts to drink and he falls drunk in a dramatic fashion. And the lesson is that even great heroes can struggle with alcoholism. And part of it is because we need to be able to walk a mile in Noach's shoes. Noach has watched an entire world be destroyed. Everyone that he knew, except for his immediate family, is no longer living. Noach has to be filled with pain and with guilt, much like a later character in the Tanakh, Lot, will be filled with the same pain and the same guilt a little bit later. And Noach can't handle it, and so he turns to drink. Very often that's where the struggle begins, with a great deal of pain. So how do you get out of it? So actually Rashi hints at a solution. He says part of Noach's weakness was because he saw himself as chulin. He saw himself as ordinary. He didn't recognize that he had a sacred purpose, that he had a much higher mission in life, and that even though he was in a great deal of pain, he had a great task in front of him, which is to rebuild the world. Noach failed to recognize his own purpose and that his mission was so great and so important. Very often the road to recovery begins when someone who is struggling with addiction recognizes that they've got a greater purpose. I remember one person who overcame his addiction because he wanted to donate a kidney to his sister. Others who are grandparents and have been struggling with alcoholism for decades all of a sudden want to have a relationship with their grandchildren. It is this sense of mission that allows people to take the first step on the road to recovery. And even now, Birthright has a special Birthright trip for those in recovery. And I remember reading one of the testimonies of a person who went on this trip, a young woman in her 20s, who spoke about the fact that she went to Israel, a place that has more than its share of struggles, with difficulties of terrorism and hostile neighbors, and yet there was a place that everybody loved life. The road to recovery is illuminated by a sense of purpose. And we need to understand that, yes, the road to addiction is very often paved with pain, but there is also a way to find recovery if we can only find our purpose. We are in a time where we have more than our ordinary share of struggles. The lesson we need to remember is never lose sight of our purpose, and that will enable us to be stronger and perhaps to overcome weaknesses that will bring us down.